welcome back to the shop. I'll tell you, this starting adventure has been something else. Let's see. These are all the ones I tossed, and there's a whole bunch of other ones that I bailed out because I realized it was so far off, and I ended up figuring out that the scale on this compound that gives you the degrees of rotation is twice the degrees. So in other words, if you set it to 30, you've actually got 15. If you set it to 40, you've actually got 20. So to get a 60-degree included angle to cut threads with the compound, you have to set the scale to 60, not 30. And man, I watched a bunch of videos and searched, and it's like, what am I doing wrong? And it's kind of funny because in desperation, I realized that I was doing everything right, but the threads were off pitch. I mean, it was working perfect. The feed rate, everything. My little dial indicator, perfect. Everything perfect. But it was obvious that it was going at a different angle, so I took my little 1/2-inch bolt and I stuck it into the chuck, and I brought the cutting tool up there and made sure it was aligned, and then I saw when I would screw it in with a compound if it would slide in there the way it's supposed to, and it was pretty clear that it was not. And that's when I looked at the scale for the 100th time and said, what the heck? So I kept moving this until I finally got this thing to go in there and dock just right. And I looked down and it's 60 degrees. So it's kind of funny, 60-degree cut, 60 degrees on the thing. Maybe this is like optimized for threading, or more likely it's just that the Chinese choose a different method than most of us are used to. I suppose that's probably right. But I'll get the video out and you'll see what a good job I did. Thanks a bunch for watching. Right on the toe. All right, scratching. See if I do it without breaking something. Step one is exactly like using the compound, except that I've got the DRO set at 0, and I've got the, oh, that's funny, I had a slight change in my dial indicator, like it moved something. That's interesting. But so now I start using the compound to move it ahead. So what I'm going to do here, I've gone back to 0. I'll take it back to 0. On the cross slide. Right, and then I'm going to take the compound in. I'm going to do 1/10 of a millimeter, basically, because this thing it's reading, one full turn of the indicator is a millimeter, so it's in 10 sections. Wait, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So yeah, it's 100 differentials. So I should have just gone in forward 10 hundredths or 1/10 of a millimeter. So hands on the cross slide to pull it out. At the same time I turn off the advance. Oh, by the way, and it's set on number 1 on the thread dial all the time. So here we go. Second cut. You can see that was a very tiny cut. So let's try something a little different. I'm going to double the compound to 0.2 of a millimeter. Bring it back to 0 on my cross slide. Here we go again. Oh. Yeah, go the right way. I think I almost bailed early, but that's okay. That was a much nicer cut. So, back to 0 on the cross slide. We're going to advance another 20 or 0.2 of a millimeter. On this time, I'm going to put a little bit of oil on my piece. Doesn't need a lot, just a film. Here we go. Oh, la verga. Fuck. Crap. Son of a bitch. What the fuck? God. I'm bad at this. Okay, this is getting fucking retarded. I think it was Albert Einstein said if you do the same thing repeatedly over and over again and get the same results, it's a definition of insanity. So take a look at this thing. This is the same effect. Can you see that guy? Here, let me put it right there. Look at what it's cutting. It's like, I don't know. This is the way it was in there. So you can see the threads it's making. They are not a friggin' thread. Crap. I got to drop back and reevaluate everything. Hold on. I got to start thinking outside the box here because this guy's set at 30 degrees and this guy's perfectly aligned and it's not cutting right. So as a last resort, I'm going to try this and see if I can find out what's going on. I mean, theoretically, I'm trying to cut this thread, right? So let's get some light. All right, can you see that better? Yeah. So That thing fits perfectly in that groove. So everything's aligned. Why is it cutting wrong? So let's see. I'm going to see what the compound does. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. What is that? So theoretically, if I put this guy right on the tip, I don't know if you can see this good. And then I try and go in with a compound. Well, it's obvious. It lands on the other side, but it's not tracking this side. What the hell? Is that really 15 degrees or 30 degrees? It is on 30. What the heck? That's like half of that. Hold on. Let me try moving this guy to a different place, right? 30. It looks like half, so I'm gonna, it goes all the way to 60. Let's see, tie it back down again. Oh yeah, now I gotta realign this guy. Let's see. Break this guy loose. Let's see. I'm just setting it against the friggin' chuck. I would be a little more careful if I was trying to thread, but I'm trying to figure something out. So if I go down here, put this right at the tip of a thread and feed the compound in, oh man, the markings on the compound are not half. So 30 is actually 15 and 60 is actually 30. No wonder I'm losing my mind. Yikes. All right, so on the subject of when you think you're losing your mind, and I have tried like 10 times in a row thinking I'm doing something wrong with the feed because it's a 60-degree thread and there's a degree scale here. Notice 30 is there, 60 is over there. Every single video I've looked at says you got to set it at 30 degrees so it's half of the included angle of 60. But I don't think that this thing is 30 degrees. It says 30, but I suspect it's for a lot smaller diameter part, like half the size, because I put it at 60 and I think it's going to work that way. That's nuts. Way to screw with an old fart that doesn't really know what he's doing, man. I wonder if that dial down there is for the guys to know all they do is put it on the angle of the pitch they want instead of being actually 30 degrees off of center. I don't know. Maybe someone can explain it to me. Okay, so this is one that I already had tried, but I don't want to keep throwing away good metal, so I'm going to thread over it. So what I'm doing, see, it's right there, it's touching. So I set my x-axis to 0. All right. I'll pull it back a bit. I'll go back. Let's see, it's right on 1 right now. So I go back. Now I'm gonna, like I said, I'll bring my x-axis to 0 on the hand dial of the cross slide. Let's see, I take it real slow. I want to get it right to 0. Okay, there's 0. Now I'm going to take and set the scale on it to 0. Make sure I got it right there. It's a lot of back and forth, actually. Right there. See how it works. Well, that ain't right. It's a long process of getting these dials all set up. Man. Hold on, bear with me a minute. Oh yeah, I think I got it right there. Okay, so then I'm going to give it like 0.05 of a millimeter. Get my hand on the cross slide and the control lever. Here we go. Go back to 0 on the cross slide. Having dialed it in with the whatchamacallit, with the dial indicator. Come on now. That still seems to be getting off. It's kind of backlash in the machine. I got to work on that. Yeah, that's way off. Come on now. Wow. I start messing with it, it gets worse. Come on. You know, you get down there in less than 1,000ths. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to give it another 5. All right. So it's doing pretty good. So I'm barely touching it. So I'm going to double it up to 0.10 or 1/10 of a millimeter for a couple of shots until I get in deeper. Would have been a good idea if I reset my cross slide to 0. Now that I got it all set, it's so easy to adjust. Back to 0, advance at 10, go. It's just Just rinse and repeat constantly. Now you might have noticed it sounded like it was cutting a little harder, right? It's because every time I go in, it's engaging more of that cutting tooth on the left side. So I'm making pretty much 1 millimeter fast. It's really grabbing a bite now. This is the last cut at 10, by the way. Because it's getting in pretty far. I'm going to go to 5 again. This is a piece of drill rod, by the way. Precision ground to 500 thousandths. 5. See, come on now. Oh, there it goes. Trying to get my watch to zoom it out where you can see my hands for a little bit. All right. Back to 0. We're going to give it 5. She's taking a bite. It's 1.5 millimeters so far. Of course, since it's going at an angle, that's not going straight in 1.5. Let's see. Getting pretty close. I'm gonna just see if it's anywhere close. Threads on the end are kind of funky, you know. Well, it wants to start. What do you think about that? Let's try this. Other way. This is how I friggin' dress it without unhooking anything. Let's try it again, see. It looks like it's a little big. Yeah, we're at 1. Throw it on the floor. Okay, so back to 0. And advance another 1/2. Wait for it to show up. Ah! Boy, I almost blew it that time. If you caught that, my thumb got caught on the hand wheel and it didn't turn fast enough. I'm gonna sneak up on this thing. Well, it's still a little tight in there. Starting real nice and it gets tight. So back to 0. Go to 70, 1.7 millimeters. Well, what do you think of me now? Let's zoom this in. If there's any play in that guy, I can't feel it. So I'm gonna look the half nut, point this guy back. Just a little buffing on the tips. They're a little sharp. I'll take the corners off. Okay. I'm going to go the other way so I can use some Scotch-Brite. Going backwards means it'll go in the grooves, but it'll be screwing it off away from the chuck so it doesn't want to go in there and grab something. And then sweet!